Well, critics say that the British government's new financial reform policies will make the UK less competitive. Mark Hoban disagrees. He's the financial secretary of the Treasury in the UK, and he's here with us this morning. And I understand you are here in New York holding meetings, trying to get people to come and set up shop in the UK. Your argument here, New York is not the financial capital London needs to be? Well,
I think London is seen as one of the two global financial centres, New York being the other one. We have a huge amount of investment in London from US-based banks. So Goldman Sachs are there, JP Morgan, Bank of New York. So there's a huge number of US businesses already based there. And I want to send the message that actually the UK is open for business. London's a good place for financial services business to be, and the reform programme we set out is aimed at strengthening London's reputation, not damaging it.
Well, and the argument there of you've lowered the corporate tax rate from 28 down to 24% and done a few things on that front. But then I've got to think some of these bankers you're meeting with are saying you can't woo us with one hand and slap us in the face with the other because you've got, lack of some of the tax relief on pensions, the activity tax now, a bank levy on balance sheets. There's definitely pressure and concern in the U.S. and in the UK that there's backlash against bankers.
Well, what we want to do is to make sure that London's a good place for banks to do business. We introduced the bank levy to reflect the fact that banks do pose a risk to the economy, and we wanted banks to pay an additional tax charge to reflect that. But you've got to put that alongside the common language we share, the fact that the UK's time zone is a good bridge between the US and Asia. Our system of law is good. We've got lots of very good professional services firms based in London to help with banks. And there are more German banks in London than there are in Frankfurt. So it's opportunity for US banks to do business with European and Asian counterparts. And I think that London is a good place to do business. The corporate tax reforms you referred to will make the UK one of the best places in the G20 for businesses to be based. That's a really attractive proposition, I think, for businesses to come and be based in the UK.
Well, interestingly, one story that got a lot of traction here was JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon supposedly considering pulling that new headquarters they were going to set up in London. They've already spent hundreds of millions of dollars on it, but the thought there being it's just too high of a cost to do business in London, even if it is an attractive location.
Well, I think London is an attractive location, and I think that JP Morgan will need to make their own decisions. But what I would say to them is that forget about what's happened in the past. Forget about what happened under the previous government. Look at our track record over the last 4 months.
But doesn't Chancellor Osborne also want to possibly add in here another levy on assets over $20 billion?
Well, that's the bank levy we talked about earlier on.
Right.
That'll raise £2.5 billion. And it's been pitched at a level that reflects the risk that banks pose to the UK economy, but also I think is competitive. And of course, other countries are looking at the bank levy. France and Germany doing so as well. Others have introduced levies already. So I think it's where the international debate is going. But people have got to look at the bank levy alongside the other reasons for basing business in London. And I think there is a strong case for business in London. You look at all the other banks that are based in London, the legal services and professional accounting firms there. There's a good story to tell. And our financial reforms are aimed at making London a more competitive place by ensuring that the stability in financial markets, putting the Bank of England in charge of more regulation, that will help, I think. And of course, we're working closely with our European partners to ensure that people who come and based in London have access to the biggest single market in the world.
Let me ask you about an idea that's getting some buzz and some traction here in the U.S. Corporate CEOs I talked to, including Cisco CEO John Chambers, is on this program saying he's lobbying the U.S. government to allow them to essentially repatriate more cash that they keep abroad in accounts. Give them a reason to bring that cash back home and put it to work. Are you considering something similar in the UK?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we really get as a coalition government is the fact that businesses are mobile. They can choose to locate wherever they are in the world. And one of the big battles will be where do people want to...
choose not to bring money back home because there's lower taxes, etc.
What we want to do is to make sure, I think, that the UK is an attractive place for multinationals to put their headquarters. And so we're going to change our tax system system. So moving towards a system where increasingly people will be taxed on the profits they earn in the country and not necessarily cash they repatriate. And I think that the world is changing. We see in financial services particularly where people, capital and businesses are mobile. The challenge I think for the 21st century is what can you do to attract businesses to your country and contribute towards your economy. A stable financial system is part of that, good tax rates are part of that, and actually having a good environment for business. And Britain's open for business, and more businesses from the US to come and invest here.
All right. Well, thank you, for making your argument, Mark. I appreciate you making the time.